All right, and we're live. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Multiverse Show, episode 111, the greatest show on Mondays. Thank you guys for tuning in. We have a very interesting show lined up for you guys. We have some stuff we're going to get out of the way in terms of our general housekeeping, so to speak. But first off, for the evening, Fame will actually, he's a little sick under the weather today, so he's not going to be able to make the show. We don't know when Nick will show up. We don't know. But we're going to get started with our introductions. First, we have the Caesar of Cinema himself, Mr. James Wilson.
It's very cold in London at the moment, and my heater's not working. So I am wrapped up, trying to warm myself up with the glow of a television screen and as many phones around me as I can. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
All right, and we also have the great editor-in-chief, the Sultan of Syntax himself, Mr. Samuel Tolbert.
Hey everybody, it's good to be back. We got some good stuff to talk about. I'm jealous of the cold weather that James is having, but what can you do? Let's get a move on.
Wait, how cold is it over you, Sam?
Not cold enough.
Well, I mean, it's like 60 degrees here.
Not cold enough.
Well, yeah, I know it's not cold enough. I'm like, I know you're a little south of me, so I don't know. Like, are we talking 80?
No, we're not. We're talking like low 70s during the day right now. High 60s. Yeah. It's not cold.
We had high 60s today.
Yeah, not enough.
So, yeah,
what do you mean not cold enough? That's not a thing.
Yes, it is.
Nah, you got to understand, James. The situation here is that if it's not cold, it's hot and humid.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can't just like bargain away a certain part of it. It's either cold or hot and humid. That's it. There's no in between. There's no like hot and dry here. So you'd rather it be cold. So, all right. And we also have the Dawn of Deletion back from the depths of hell. Mr. Mike P. the Truth.
Yes, indeed. What's going on, guys? It's Mike, and I am back on Twitter. God help us all. We'll see how long this lasts for.
What's the betting pool at right now, out of curiosity?
I don't know how long he's going to last. Not with that tag. For those of you that don't know, his current tag is, well, his original tag was Mike P. the Truth. His new Twitter tag is The Truth of Mike P. So we'll see how long that lasts.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, Twitter said it was like, what, a 1 week suspension, and then they changed it last minute? Like, they kept doing it, like, adding an extra week?
They did.
It's just like, it's not entirely fair. They kind of asked for this, so...
They really did. I mean, I do have to make you guys laugh. Within about a day of me getting this new account, it got locked for suspicious behavior. I had to unlock it.
Oh, my Lord.
Jeez.
I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
What are you doing?
Yeah, he's living a double life. He's living a double life he's not telling nobody about.
Doesn't everyone just use Twitter for just memes?
We do.
No.
If only it was that simple.
Actually, you know what? Just weird tangent. So the greatest ever Twitter thing happened a few months ago. I can't remember who did it, but over the past few years, literally years, somebody has been inserting the first letter of all of their tweets with the lyrics of Bohemian Rhapsody.
I saw that. Yes, that was incredible.
But they've been doing it in reverse. So if you read them, so from the most recent to the oldest, it'll read forwards. So they've been doing it backwards, which you think that's cool. You've got to create situations for you to say the words, but it's really hard to fit in Bismillah like a bunch of times. Like, it's amazing. I got mad props. I almost considered trying to do the same thing with Paranoid Android by Radiohead. First Radiohead mention of the day. So there we go.
Why am I not surprised? Why am I not surprised? Anyway, moving right along, going on into the topics for the evening. Also, a little bit of housekeeping for you guys who have been paying attention. So we did the ThanksGiveaway. We started that off last week. The original deadline was going to be Black Friday this year. We have decided we're actually going to extend that deadline into
So
Cyber
White
Monday.
Friday.
Now, Cyber Monday. Now, Cyber Monday, which will be 1 week from today, we'll draw it live on the show, so it'll be a lot of fun. Thank you guys for really supporting us. We've really kind of bumped up the subs on this channel, and we bumped up the follows over on Twitter for the Multiverse Show account. Thank you guys for tuning in. But the immortal question we ask every single Multiverse Show, what have you guys been playing? Let's start off with Sam. What have you been playing, sir?
Mostly just a little bit of Destiny 2, in all honesty. I've been really, really busy, and I haven't had a whole lot of time to play much since working on Red Dead and some other stuff recently. So, yeah, mainly just Destiny 2. I'm working on getting my Thunderlord machine gun, because the machine guns are coming back, which is fantastic. And I picked up, I think I told you guys I picked up Final Fantasy 13. I'm looking to dive into those soon. I haven't had a chance yet, though. I've been really busy.
All right, dope. What about you, Mike?
Honestly, I haven't really had a chance to game too much over the past week. So when I have, really, I've just been playing Black Ops 4 and NBA Live when I've had the chance.
All right, NBA Live. All right, not bad. I mean, could be better, but not bad. All right, and James, what have you been playing, sir?
I've been playing Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which is the standalone story connected to Uncharted 4, featuring everyone's favorite Claudia Black and Nadine Ross. That's it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I loved Uncharted 4. I gave it a 10 out of 10, which I should have given an 8. But yeah, Uncharted's great. It's more Uncharted, and that's always fun.
You know, I liked the first couple of Uncharted games. I really enjoyed 3 and 4. I really love those. I haven't managed to play Lost Legacy yet, but yeah, I just saw it's on sale for $10 at like GameStop or something. So I'm probably going to grab that over Black Friday.
I think Sony are doing some awesome Black Friday stuff on their store as well.
Cool.
Especially with like the Prime Sony property. So I reckon you can get Uncharted for really cheaply right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, So I've been kind of all over. Yeah, I played a little Red Dead until I started playing Fallout 76. But I kind of started playing Spyro. I started playing Spyro Reignited. And I've been playing that. I've actually really enjoyed going back and seeing that game because for those of you that don't know, and I've said this before, Fallout was it. Spyro 1 was the first game I ever beat as a kid. That was the first game I ever sat down and I said, I'm going to beat this game, and I wouldn't beat the game. And it was funny because I was like, I don't remember getting this far for whatever reason. And it's like, I get to the next level, and I'd be like, wait, I remember this. I remember the soundtrack. Like I remember fighting these guys. Wait, yeah, it's coming back to me. After a while, I'd start playing some more, and then all of a sudden, I get a little closer, and I realize, like, hey, wait a minute. I think I've done this before. Like when I was like fighting Nasty Nork at the end, I was like, I don't remember this boss fight. What was this like? And I remember like, oh yeah, I remember doing this chase. I remember this. Wait, never mind. I remember this. Never mind. I'm good. I go back and forth like that. I found that really funny when I was playing the game. But so Fallout 76, I do want to talk about this just a moment. I do have something I gotta take care of really quickly. But just real quick, out of the group here, does anybody actually interested in playing Fallout 76 before I start talking about it?
No.
I'm interested in playing it. I am.
Yeah.
I mean, I am going to play it eventually, but yeah, definitely, I'm interested.
I mean, it's just I haven't been able to pick it up yet. That's the thing.
I mean, I waited until Fallout 4 was... I paid £5 for Fallout 4. I played it for 2 hours, got bored. There's no way. You couldn't pay me to play Fallout 76. I just don't care.
Someone pay this man to play Fallout 76 right now.
Tempted. I think about it. But yeah, I understand. Like Fallout's not for everybody. For me, it's for me definitely. But I understand.
Oh, is it, Ivan? You've never mentioned before.
I know, right? I'm sorry. It's just a real secret. I've never really talked about it before.
Next you'll be telling me you like stuff like Skyrim and Doom.
Yeah, I know. I'm all over the place. No one knows what I actually like. I keep my opinions quiet. So, All right. So, Fallout 76, I will start with this. I think Bethesda really did not market this game correctly. I think they just did not understand what they were supposed to be marketing this as for people. Um, I think that's why a lot of people are having a problem with this game. I'm trying to figure out how to really tackle this because this is going to be a question. With Fallout, the major appeal of the Fallout franchise has been you're placed in a scenario where you are kind of like the overarching determining factor of the entire world. The big draw as of Fallout 4 was shooting, crafting, and really just building. Those have been the focuses. It's been very much more of a loot shooter kind of vibe now, ever since Fallout 4. And like the core gameplay in Fallout 4 is solid. It's a solid game. And yes, Fallout 4 had a lot of bugs. Yes, Fallout 4 had some problems, but I think for the most part, the problems with Fallout 4 were just kind of superficial. Like they were not like, oh yeah, worst case scenario is, oh no, my save's corrupted. Let me just boot up my other save. Like that was always the worst case scenario that could happen in Fallout 4. And so a lot of things were kind of forgiven. The current state of Fallout 76 is that, yes, it is buggy. It's buggy by Bethesda standards. And the problem is, it's not like it's something you can just tolerate and move on from. Because with Fallout 76, because it is an online game, these are things that you can't really protect yourself from. When I was playing day one, and like a lot of these problems, like I saw some problems like in Fallout during the beta. I saw some of these problems, but I thought they would be fixed because they were just kind of obvious problems. But the major issues I kept running into were when you would try to pause the game would freeze. Like you could hear the world going on around you. You could hear like things attacking you, but the game would freeze before it would pull up the map or anything. And so you're just sitting there taking damage. And it's like, well, that's dumb. Like, I understand I shouldn't pull it up while I'm like in battle, but I want to like just check the map really quick, make sure I'm going the right way. So that's a problem. The other one too, and this is one I just think there's a problem going on, and it's one of those things in terms of game design where you have to worry about enemy spawns, and you want it to be where there's always some sort of enemy in the area, but you don't want it to feel like when you kill them, they come back too quickly. So like in past Fallout games, you would clear out an area, go somewhere else, and the world would, well, that area would kind of de-render or go away. So you wouldn't have to worry about them coming back necessarily. But you didn't have to, if you weren't going to go back there, you didn't have to worry about really anything going on. But in this game, because there's constant people going around and it's in a shared world, it's how do you reboot the enemies in an area before other people start showing up. And the problem right now is that all the spawns are like on hyper speed. Like for example, I was walking from the Overseer's camp to one of the earlier towns that you run into. And I was walking from there, and I found a pack of wild dogs. And so I see the dogs, and I kill them. And I kill them in about maybe the span of maybe 2 minutes, because there's maybe like 10 of them. And so I killed them in the period of 2 minutes. And in the time, like so I'm looking for 10 different bodies. I found like 3, because when I killed them, if you don't loot them immediately, they disappear. And so you can't go back and just pick up after the carnage you left. And lo and behold, so I sat there and I waited like maybe 2 more minutes after I killed all of them, because I was like, wow, that's really weird. And they spawned back within 5 minutes. So they came back very quickly. And I was like, whoa, like I just killed these guys. Chill out. And I was like, this is it. They kept forcing them to spawn so people would have a similar event in the same area. And like I understand, because you want, especially in the early part of the game, you want to make sure people have those experiences in the starting area. but it's just not. It was just very, very annoying. It feels like you're being like fast. Well, like the experience, like if you're going to Disney World and you're in an area and they're trying to like force you into an area, or I'm trying to think of a specific example. Okay, so who's been to Disney World here as an example?
I've been.
Yep.
All right, so Disney World, the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know how in the Haunted Mansion, when you go and you stand in line, you go, they take you over to the front, and then they take you in the back way, and they do the whole elevator thing, where like they're trying to freak you out, like, oh look, this is like that's just something so they can kill time in the line, but it's an event they want you to go through that preps you for mentally to go on the ride.
Yeah.
And
then David S. Pumpkins shows up.
Yeah. But imagine you're doing that where they're trying to give you that experience, but they're trying to get you out there as fast as possible. They're trying to rush you through it. Imagine cast members being like, okay, hurry up. Okay, yeah, be scared. Okay, let's get out of here. Go, 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 go. Like, that's the feeling currently with Fallout 76. Like, where Fallout games in the past, you could take your time, you just meander through the world at your own pace. No. They want you to go, get out of here, move on, go, 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 go. They're trying to move you out of there and get you out in the world as fast as possible. And so that it throws people off. Other than that, I mean, there's issues with enemies as well. Most of my problems have to deal with enemies for the most part. One of the bigger ones being if you kill an enemy, well, sometimes enemies will be like in the Schrodinger's cat kind of state where they're both alive and dead at the same time.
Oh dear.
Like there's a possum walking around in one of the areas, and you can go up to the possum and take the meat off of the moving possum. It's alive, but I can still loot it. It's just really weird, and I'm like, okay, but it's a very weird scenario. So I don't technically know if I have that possum meat still. So it's just kind of strange. So.
So tell me something, because I remember it was either on this podcast or on the Inner Circle podcast years ago. I remember I said the idea, why isn't there's an Elder Scrolls Online, why isn't there a Fallout Online? And the reason we came up with was because how could you do VATS?
Yeah.
In Fallout Online, and so how have they navigated that?
Think of VATS as like Soldier 76's auto aim ultimate. It's basically that. If you don't upgrade VATS, it just targets an enemy and you could shoot without actually shooting at them. Like you don't have to aim at them; you just aim in their general vicinity and it'll go get the kill. You can upgrade it so you can target individual pieces of the body, like in regular VATS, but it's all in real time. So you actually have to be smart. So
but does it work?
Cool. It works.
It just works.
It works, but it's more of like a the focus is more of a if you're overwhelmed by stuff, then you use it. Like when I was fighting those dogs, because the dogs are jumping and nipping at you and you're trying to get them, using VATS helped out a lot. So like that kind of thing is beneficial. It also helps for criticals. If you're using VATS, you have a higher chance of actually getting a critical. So there's bonuses and points to actually using it. It does require you to have a base level of competency. And so I think that's ultimately the problem, is that they really just sold the game wrong to people, where I view it as a better Elder Scrolls Online. I see it completely as a better Elder Scrolls Online, because Elder Scrolls Online feels like an MMO. And this one feels like a Fallout game that's also an MMO.
The difference probably comes in the fact that this was designed by Bethesda Game Studios. I realize it's their offshoot. It's Bethesda Game Studios Austin, but nonetheless, it's actually proper Bethesda Game Studios, whereas Elder Scrolls Online was handled by ZeniMax Online Studios. Yeah. So that's probably the key difference there.
See, the thing is with Fallout 76, if you're looking at it from the lens of this is an MMO, this is a great way to feel like an MMO. It feels like a AAA $60 game, but it has a ton of MMO elements. Like you feel it in its bones, but it's very well disguised. Like it doesn't. I mean, the problem like I had with Elder Scrolls Online is that it felt like an MMO first, but it was an MMO in the Elder Scrolls universe. This one feels like this is a Fallout. This is Fallout, but it's also an MMO, but the core gameplay is still the same. It just has a lot of weird stuff, and like I think like the point where I really started liking the vibe of Fallout 76 is when I got to Camp McClintock, where you're with a bunch of Sergeant Gutsies, you're a bunch of other robots, and you're going through basic training to be a soldier because you have to convince them that you're a soldier so they don't kill you, and they threaten to kill you on a regular basis. It's like, oh wow. And like one of the they have it does. Okay, what I like about Fallout as opposed to mission structure is they do environmental storytelling very well. Is that you can have a story that is not a side quest, that has nothing to do with any sort of story, but you just come across it and you can tell what happened in a room or an area without having to really dig. But the thing is, that is now the main focus for Fallout 76's quest structures. Like in one of the tests in Camp McClintock is you have to root out the communist. So they give you 3 different rooms and 3 different kids who have just random audio voice lines, and you have to determine which one of them is going to be a communist. It's like, find the budding communist, and you just look at their rooms trying to find communist propaganda.
That's actually pretty funny. I like that.
It's actually really funny, but it's like, oh wow, like it's really kind of weird, but it's really funny at the same time. And like they do that kind of storytelling everywhere. There's a bunch of little things here and there, and it's like they do that part really well, but it works in an MMO setting. But the problem is they told everybody this is a main Fallout game with your friends. They just marketed it wrong. I think that's the problem people are running through, and that's why people are saying I don't like this game because they don't know what it is. And I said this to Sam, and I said this before to other people too, so they can verify I did say this. This game is not built for people. This is not built for casual Fallout fans at all.
Right, you did say that.
Because this is not meant for them. This is meant for people like me and for people who like Fallout on a much deeper level to keep us occupied until 2025 when the next Fallout game comes out. Because we're not getting another Fallout game for a while. This is supposed to be something they can update and just keep giving us more content over time. Because we're not getting anything for a good long while. So that's the mentality you need to go into it with. It's not built for normal people. I'm sorry, just a bad way of explaining it. It's just not built for normal people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Any other questions about Fallout before we move on?
Not really. Go ahead, James.
I was saying we should put that on the box. Fallout 76, not for normies.
That sounds like a plan to me. But in all seriousness, it sounds like if you're on the fence like I am, the best thing to do is just wait a little bit. Like wait until December. Let some things get ironed out or whatever.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where, like, if you were asking me for an opinion, I would say hold off on this for, like, if you have to jump on, wait till December. Like, just wait. Mm-hmm. 1, you'll find it on sale. You'll find it on sale, and 2, most of the stuff should be fixed by then. At least the actual glitches and stuff. Like, as I'm speaking right now, Fallout 76 dropped a 48 gigabyte patch.
That's insane.
This is like, here's the world again. Their patches are going to be crazy. So yeah, just hold off. Especially if you have limitations on how much you can actually download a month, because you're going to be downloading this game at least 10 times. So just be careful. Anyway, so other questions about Fallout 76 before we move on?
None.
No. Okay. So moving on to our next little side project we wanted to talk about. So it's this week of Thanksgiving here in the States. Thanksgiving is going to be in 2 days. 3 days? 3 days. Yeah, 3 days. Whereas it's Monday. So this time of year, we generally go to the kitchen. We start making things. We start experimenting in there, just trying to see what we can do. So I kind of asked the guys around here to kind of give you ideas of things we make during this time of year for food or drinks or whatever, and just so you guys have some inspiration for what you guys could maybe make in the kitchen. And we have some fun stories that are associated with it. And so, real quick, this is not like a super long segment. It's just a quick little 5-minute thing. I just want to go around the table, go around the table here,
and say what we're thankful for.
No, not what we're thankful for, but just like a holiday dish you have and why it's kind of important to you. James, since you said something, why don't you go first?
Okay, well, I don't celebrate Thanksgiving because I'm not American. So the big one around for me this time is Christmas, and I always make. So we sort of have a rule in my family is that everyone makes one part of the Christmas meal. My dad normally makes the mains. My sister makes the starters. My mum makes the drinks and one of the desserts, and I make something called a pavlova, which is a type of dessert. Do you guys know what a pavlova is?
Does it induce a Pavlovian response in those who eat it?
Absolutely not. It has nothing to do with said doctor.
Oh, dang it.
I'm sorry. First thing that comes to mind is a pierogi. So,
I don't know what that is.
No.
No, a pavlova is lots of meringue, and then covered in homemade, and then sort of like doused in homemade whipped cream, and then you just put as many fruits as you can on it, and chocolate. I always like crumble up Oreos and almonds and put them in, so you have this mismatch of the crunchy meringue, the really soft sweets, the really soft whipped cream. Sorry, then the fruit, and then the chocolate and the almonds, and it's just this amazingly sweet and brilliant little dish. It's called a pavlova because it was created when Anna Pavlova, who's a dancer, came to Australia, and it's now just an Australian national dish. And we're very proud of it. And you can put any kind of fruit you want in it. I usually use kiwi fruit, guava, some strawberries and raspberries to make it just as sweet as possible. And it's like the only thing that I can make with any sort of competency in a kitchen. But it is. I made one at a friend's house, and their dad, who is a chef, said that is one of the most complicated desserts that is available to be made.
Nice.
So there you go. Yeah, the pavlova, that is my favorite. That for me is like a special holiday food.
Oh, nice. I was not expecting that, but that sounds actually really great.
I might have to look up a recipe.
I'll send you mine if you want.
Yes, please.
Sure, please. Yeah.
Put that in the multiverse chat. Right, don't put that for the general public.
Oh no, it's I mean, I just told you what it is. But I didn't give them
measurements. No, they're not gonna. They weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mike, Mr. Italian, what do you make for this time of year?
So for me, this isn't anything that I really make. I'm going to talk about stuff that other people have made because I really am not good in the kitchen at all. I could grill. I can't really do anything in the kitchen. But no, couple things. When I was growing up, my mom always made this stuffing, but it wasn't really stuffing in a traditional sense that you would like stuff into the cavity of the bird or even on the side or whatever. The way that she did it was this stuffing was a loaf, almost like bread. So she would take like Italian bread, like not good Italian bread. Like you could use the cheap kind that you get in the bag in the bread aisle at the store. Like she would take that, oregano, basil, pecorino romano cheese, which is the king of all the cheeses, butter, and I'm assuming a crap ton of eggs. And she would just mix it all together, and she would bake it in the oven as a loaf. And instead of eating it as stuffing, we would slice it and eat it as bread. It sounds really weird.
It's called dressing, sir. There's a difference. Stuffing, it's called dressing. If you bake it in a loaf, it's a dressing.
Well, whatever. But anyway, it was always something that I really, really enjoyed. And even now, we typically do Thanksgiving with my wife's family, but we see my mom around this time too, and she always bakes a loaf for me, and I always enjoy it every year. The second thing is until my wife and I started dating, I had never tried sweet potato casserole. I always thought it was kind of weird, like
You're
sweet
pathetic, dude.
potatoes and marshmallows. Where does that go? The first time I tried it, when I had Thanksgiving with my wife's family, it was so good. I think my brains fell out on the floor. It was so good. It was amazing. So that's something that I look forward to every year.
Yeah, man, sweet potato casserole, dude. Like that. That's like the king of all sides. That's like having a dessert as a side.
It's amazing. It's so good. It's so good.
James, you ever had sweet potato casserole before?
I've never had any kind of casserole before.
Oh God, dude, sweet
It's
potato
so
casserole. Like, you ever had a sweet potato before? I assume maybe.
Nope.
Oh my
What?
God, dude. Well, I mean, they don't really have sweet potatoes over there, so this is kind of a new thing to explain. How do you
I know what they
explain this?
are.
Yeah, you've never had one before. It's really hard to explain. All right, it's like the consistency of a potato, like a baked potato, but it's sweet. like, like it's just like you don't
But I
have to put
got
anything
that.
in it. Like it's a sweet potato.
If you say it's like a potato but sweet again, I'm gonna punch you.
Well, that's
I
what
get
it is,
it.
though.
It's hard to
And I
explain.
get that.
Like
I think it's a very descriptive name.
but it's like it's probably the equivalent of like, okay, sugar to brown sugar, where it's like okay, with sugar, like, oh yeah, it's sweet, it accentuates it, but brown sugar actually has a taste to it, like it's
Mhm.
distinctive. It's kind of like that. It's that kind of sweet.
Okay.
So it's delicious. So what they do is they kind of like puree it till it's like a mashed potato mix, and then they just basically
Mhm.
put it in a pan, put some breadcrumbs or something, and then if you have someone who's really good at it, they'll get a bunch of marshmallows and just layer the entire thing on top of it, and then just melt the marshmallows together on top of it.
It's delicious.
It's
It really
amazing.
is.
Like it's amazing. It's so amazing that we don't even make it in my family. Like it's too good. It's not good enough for Well, it's too good for Thanksgiving. That's why it's not there.
Just speaking of marshmallow, I've got to mention it. So the amazing thing about pavlova is that if you don't eat it first time, if you wait a day and put it in the fridge, all the meringue and the whipped cream turns into marshmallow. So you've got like this other, you got another element to it.
Mm.
I can't believe you guys never heard of pavlova. You're gonna have so much fun.
No.
Oh, we had there's like meringue pie, yeah, but it's not the same necessarily. Anyway, moving on. So, Sam,
Mm-hmm.
what you got for us?
Well, there's a few different things. So I realize this is more associated with Christmas. I get that. I'm going to hear that already.
That's fine.
But my family always makes this starting around Thanksgiving. So screw it. I'm going with this anyways. And that is eggnog. We always make eggnog. And I'm not talking about store-bought stuff or the cold blech, whatever. I'm talking about properly using bourbon, using the nutmeg and about a dozen other spices, heating it to just the right temperature. It's a several-hour affair. Dad's actually the one who perfected it, and it's simply amazing. There is nothing else quite like it. In the occasion that we actually get a cold night, but it's incredible anyways, even if it's not cold. And so, yeah, I get that it's unusual. We always start with that around Thanksgiving instead of, the winter holidays. So
I just cracked open an eggnog right now.
it's not the same.
It's not the same. But I can't be getting drunk on this show again. Last time that happened, things went really bad. So, anyway, so what I make, so last year, okay, so when I moved out of my parents' house, first year I didn't make anything. I was like, you know what, I really should make something for Thanksgiving because I'm like, I'm going over, I should do something. So last year I made an apple cobbler. Not doing that again. Not because it didn't taste good. It actually tasted great. It just looked really bad. It did not brown correctly. It just didn't look good. Let's just go with that. It just did not look good. But But what I've been doing since last year was I've been making mulled wine. And namely just because I was tired of the same old holiday drinks. Like, oh, we're going to have apple cider or eggnog. That's it. Those are our only options. I was like, no, I want...
not. Apple cider's not a seasonal thing.
Yeah, he is here, dude. Like, we're talking like, spiced cider and like things with cinnamon and stuff. Like, yeah, there's cider.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, it's more of a... Yeah. So honestly, I wanted something a little different. So I had always heard... actually, there's a line in It's a Wonderful Life when they had Clarence the Angel and was trying to order something at the bar, and he mentioned mulled wine. So I was like, I'm going to take a look and see what that is. So I started doing some research on it. And mulled wine is this, it's actually a very ancient drink. It's one they would made back in the Roman times, really. What they would do is that they would have near spoiled wine from like harvest past. And what they would do is that whenever the season was over, they would get all this wine and they would just heavily mix it with spices, like, cinnamon, star anise, things like cloves. They would just spice it and just leave it and sit there until winter. And then at that time, then they would like give it out to the soldiers or give it out to citizens as a gesture of goodwill for Saturnalia. And they would do that as a way to utilize the near spoiled wine. So you could have really, really shitty wine. You could have bad wine, but because it was so heavily spiced, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And so, like, imagine you're like a Roman soldier off on a campaign up against the barbarians in modern day Germany, and you can hear them off in the distance laughing in the dark, and you can't see where they are, but you're sitting around the fire waiting, and just like, okay, we're waiting for this. And so they pass out the wine, and it's cold, and it's a dark, cold night. And you take your sword, stick it in the fire, wait till it's all piping hot, and then stick it in your drink. And so all of a sudden, your wine is now a hot, delicious drink. And that's what people drink. And so I've been toying around with recipes for it. I have one I can actually suggest to people that I find that works. I've tried a bunch of different wines. I've tried white wine. I've tried red wine. I've tried a couple different ones and what I thought would work best. For this particular one, I've been using Cabernet Sauvignon. That's generally what I've been working with, and it works very well for this. So you can buy like a cheap bottle of wine. I don't suggest like one of those like 1.5 liter bottles, like a good bit of wine. It doesn't matter what it is, just buy something cheap because you don't want to waste good wine on this because it's not going to taste any different. So you get a bottle of wine, maybe like 2 sticks of cinnamon, 1 stick if you're feeling you don't want to have it overpowering cinnamon, but I like that extra cinnamon taste. You get a stick of cinnamon, maybe about 6 star anise pods. Star anise is cheap. You just got to find it. It's just hard to find. I bought like a big pouch for $2. Like, not a big deal. Find that. Whole cloves, maybe like 10 of those. Throw that in there. I've added a couple more things. I added a couple things of allspice in there. Not a lot, but just a little bit of allspice. A little bit of vanilla. If you can find a vanilla bean pod, that's even better. But if you can find just vanilla extract, just a dot, just a little bit, just so you get that little extra taste in there. And then cut up. If you're doing a bottle of it, I'd suggest maybe 1, maybe 2 oranges. Cut those up into slices, stick them in the pot, let it simmer for a couple hours. And then I also add like a half cup of honey. And this is if you're not really a super sweet person, if you don't like a real sweet wine to it, because this is going to bump up that that sugar content for you. If you're really into if you really do enjoy that, you can add more honey, or if you really just want to save time, you could add sugar to it. I normally try to avoid the sugar on it, but if you want that, that's great. You're basically just gonna leave that and simmer the whole time, casually stirring it so it's not boiling, but you just basically let it sit there and you just let it go and do its thing. So I've been doing that for years, But most recently, the funny story was I actually found out a better way for it. So I was making this, and I said, "Oh, I gotta wait an hour, let it simmer for a little bit." So I'm playing Red Dead Redemption. Totally forgot I was making mulled wine. I completely, irrevocably forgot about it. And so I'm playing, and I was maybe 3 or 4 hours later. I'm getting up, like, oh, I'm gonna go to bed now. I'm exhausted. So I'm walking to the bedroom. I smell something like, huh? Like, what's that? So I look over on the stove, and I see the big pot I had was now down half of the wine, and so it became more like this mix between like a reduction sauce and an actual wine. It became kind of syrupy. It tasted delicious. It was amazing. And I was like, wow. And so actually, when I brought it to the game night I go to, they were like, oh man, this is amazing. So I let them try what I normally make, and I let them try the mistake. So we love the mistake. I was like, so that's why I've been doing it ever since. So do a couple hours, letting it simmer, letting it kind of reduce itself down, so it's more like a hyper concentrated wine, and it tastes amazing. It's great.
So this is your flaming Moe's moment. Flaming
Yeah, I know,
Hoe,
right?
I should say.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but it's a lot of fun. So anyway, other topic for the evening. So Sam,
Yes.
sorry, someone else has come out of retirement and put on that Microsoft jersey. What's been going on today?
So what's interesting, there was no build up to this. It was just announced on Twitter. Some of us may or may not recall the name Drew Murray. He was the game director on Sunset Overdrive, a long-time Insomniac Games veteran. He had a hand in many of the Ratchet and Clank games, the Resistance franchise. You know, he worked there for a long time. Sunset Overdrive was, I believe, his final game, and he retired. And he's stayed, in games. He still plays a ton of games, but he wasn't working for anybody. He's like, okay, I'm retired. I'm done. I got my cash. I'm out of here. And he's come out of retirement and is now taking on a senior position at the Initiative, the new studio headed up by Daryl Gallagher. And what's interesting about this is not only is he an incredible designer, he's an incredible director. He did fantastic work for Insomniac, but they got this guy to come out of retirement. Like, he was set for life. So I have no idea what they're doing there, but it's going to be something incredible if they had the pitch to pull him back out.
So
2 words. Sunrise Overdrive.
Oh, no.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Oh, my God. I'd laugh because that would fit with the theme of the game, honestly, to have a sequel named something like that.
So that actually brings up a good point I wanted to kind of discuss. So Microsoft has been on a hiring spree naturally, but the big thing that I find super interesting about this is that, yes, they've been on a hiring spree, but specifically the Initiative has taken on a lot of talent. Sam, I know you compiled a list for us. Who have they picked up necessarily?
So let's see here. Let me pull up who I got. I mean, obviously, like I said, Daryl Gallagher is the one heading the studio. He was head of Crystal Dynamics for several years. He worked at Activision on the Call of Duty games. They got Brian Westergaard. He was formerly the executive producer on the God of War franchise at Sony Santa Monica, including the most recent one. Annie Lohr, who was the recruiter at Respawn Entertainment. Presumably she's the recruiter now at the Initiative. Christian Cantamessa, who was the lead writer on Red Dead Redemption at Rockstar Games. Blake Fisher, who was a director of portfolio planning for Microsoft back in the 360 days. Daniel Newberger and Lindsay McQueenie, both Crystal Dynamics programmers. Tom Shepard, who was the former technical director on Red Dead Redemption and GTA 5. And then, of course, the latest one is Drew, who I just went over his pedigree.
All right, cool. Wow, that is a really impressive list, honestly. Like, they're really trying to pick up everybody. So I guess the question that now comes up now is, who's next? Who's next on the draft? I know you and me, Sam, we were talking about this earlier. Like, The key thing here is just look at who they've just been really friendly lately.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that don't know, like I was talking to Sam about this too. You look at who's been really friendly with Microsoft this generation. Like, look at just a couple of people. Like every time you see someone who's being overly friendly, they almost always get picked. For example, who was the last Sony person who was really, really friendly with Microsoft? Right, really, it's a question to you guys. I know who it is, but
I mean, we talked about this earlier, so I'm waiting for someone else to answer.
I can't think of the name.
I don't recall.
Adam Boyce. He was ultra friendly. He used to he used to work for PlayStation.
He used to be like one of their head guys. He presented the E3 conferences and everything.
Like, you remember the what's the term I'm looking for? You remember the event where Microsoft was it was after E3 2013 where they did the whole video of
here's how you share your games on PS4.
And they had Shuhei Yoshida and the big blonde guy with the glasses.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Adam Boyce. And now he works for Iron Galaxy. It was owned by Microsoft. So it's like, oh, huh. So it's funny watching that, of how the people who are super friendly eventually move on. And the one person who's doing that real close lately, Cory Barlog, who worked on the latest God of War.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Sorry, what was that, James?
He was game director, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was the director. He came back to head the studio up, and he was like, "Okay, if we're going to do this, I need to change this, and this. Sony, you have to do this, and this for me." Like he's the one who had the vision to make that game what it was, really. But yeah, what's interesting is, I don't know how many people know this, but Cory Barlog and Daryl Gallagher actually worked together on the original, well, not the original, but the 2013 Tomb Raider reboot, because Cory originally had the idea of the one shot from beginning to end, and he wanted to do that for Tomb Raider. And they tried it, they found out it didn't work. They had to have some cuts, and so he wasn't able to implement it. But that's where he originally wanted to do that. And Daryl and Cory are actually best friends. They hang out together all the time in real life. So, and don't read too much into things, but it's interesting. It's interesting. I guarantee you, if anyone's getting burned out at Sony Santa Monica, that Cory's like, "Hey, I know where you can go."
Yep, that could be true. Like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what can happen. I mean, Microsoft's pulled off a lot of interesting stuff lately, so I would not be surprised.
I mean, it's amazing because they're hiring all over, like Obsidian. I don't know if you're not following Club Real, you should, but one of the clauses for their acquisition was that they get to hire like another 40 people to grow well over 200. In Exile, it just came out today. Brian Fargo, who's the CEO of that team, said that they're going to be growing by about 30%. Across their two studios. Playground is literally hiring for 200-something positions. It's absurd. 343 has almost 600 people now. The Coalition is over 300. Hiring spree doesn't do it justice. They're gearing up. So it takes time. Some things may not work, but it's very interesting to watch. I can't recall the last time I saw this kind of mass mobilization and recruiting across a major publisher.
Oh, wow. I would only assume that Sony was doing similar things in the lead up to the PS4 announcement.
They were.
They were. Well, there you go.
They were.
Well, I've said this before. There's this is Microsoft have everyone looking at them. I think everyone's way more interested in what the next Xbox is than what the next PlayStation is. We all know what the next PlayStation is going to be. It's going to be a continuation of the PS4.
Right. It's a more powerful PS4 with a 5 instead of a 4. We know that. Oh, you're absolutely right. But no, James, you bring up a good point. Because Sony acquired Sucker Punch and Media Molecule in 2011, if I remember correctly. And that was them gearing up. And they expanded Naughty Dog significantly by from 150 people to up to 300. So, and that was in prep for the PS4's launch. So you make a good point there.
And also because Naughty Dog were making 2 games at the time.
Yeah, there was also the fact that they actually needed people to make the games, of course. But nonetheless, it's still interesting. it's still interesting to watch.
Yeah, man.
Can I just say we didn't even talk about the biggest news story of this entire week.
Oh, go.
Sony are not going to be at E3.
Good point. That is an interesting one.
There you go.
That's probably the biggest piece of news of this entire year. For the first time in 24 years, longer than I've been alive, Sony will not have a presence at all. They're not going to be on the show floor as well.
And right, dude, and it's that last part that just stuns me, because a lot of people I saw immediately were saying, "Oh, well, this is like what Nintendo or Microsoft did." And it's like, no, it really isn't, because Nintendo, I know they don't really hold an E3 show. They do a big direct focused on one of their games. Like in 2016, it was Breath of the Wild, right? They focused on Breath of the Wild. This year it was Smash Bros. But Nintendo still has a huge amount of floor space. Like, I don't know if anyone's seen any pictures, but the Nintendo lines at E3 are infamous for a reason. People line up for hours to play their games. Microsoft, while they weren't in the E3 building, they're in the Microsoft Theater, which is literally right across the street. It's like a 4-minute walk if you're being leisurely and you're jaywalking, and they had an E3 conference. They still went all out. Sony it's unprecedented. I couldn't believe that news even as I was writing it when it broke. It's
the first time in 24 years they've ever not been there.
Right. Yeah, it's shocking. I mean, there's questions already of how this is going to affect E3 attendance when, the more, I don't mean this insulting, the casual audience who might be buying the gamer tickets otherwise finds out they're not going to be there. What's Activision going to do? Because Destiny 2 and the Call of Duty games are tied up in, marketing deals with PlayStation. So is Activision going to go on the show floor? Because Activision hasn't had a big presence on the show floor in a while. So that would be interesting to see. There's a lot of questions right now. I think I said this on Tick Podcast, and I'll say it again here. I think it's simply because they saw the reactions to last year's show, and then more importantly, this year's show, and they realized, okay, we're simply not going to have the games ready because we can't talk about PS5 games before we talk about, the PS5. And I think they just are calculating, you know what? Why spend this much money to bring everyone out there and show off the same games again?
And leading on from that, I also think that they've realized that they don't really need to go to E3. It was a necessity 5 years ago, and it was you'd have to do it 10 or 15 years ago. But now, because it's just so easy to just put up a video, like look what Nintendo do with their directs.
Right.
Why bother going to E3 at all? Hold your own event. Like that's why PSX exists. Like we know PSX isn't happening this year, but who's to say it doesn't come back next year where there's something? Even if it's just an indie showcase where they focus entirely on no game that would cost more than $30 at release, or something like that, and then announce the PS5 on their own terms.
Right. I absolutely agree with that, dude. In fact, I think they're likely going to hold a massive PSX because it's the 25th anniversary of PlayStation next year.
They have to.
Of the brand. So they're going to, they are going to hold a PSX come hell or high water. But more importantly, I think they're going to do a big, massive blowout, probably reveal a couple of big games like the next Gran Turismo, the next Horizon Zero Dawn, and at least tease the PS5. Like, at least, like, hey, you know how they did the PS4 reveal in February 2013? They didn't show the box, but they're like, here's the controller, here's the specs, here's engine demos that Quantic Dream is doing, that kind of thing. I think they'll do that kind of thing and have a big celebration. And then at E3 2020, people will learn more information about the console and it'll be back to business as usual.
Right. And I think the good thing about that for Sony, I mean, not that Sony really cares about this, I don't think, but for them to skip out on E3 and do a huge PSX or maybe a couple of events is that it puts all of the focus on them. And it allows us as, gamers, as consumers, to only judge what Sony is doing at that event without having to deal with the comparisons to, oh, Sony released the PS5, but it is announcing the PS5 and a bunch of games, but this is what Microsoft is doing also. So how's it compare to that? It allows you for that moment to just look at Sony and judge Sony in a vacuum. And I think if they play their cards right, this is actually a genius move for them, honestly.
Yeah, it's basically a lot to gain, a lot to lose. That's the
Right.
thing. Because you have an incredible amount to gain. You're absolutely right. The eyes will be only on them. But here's the downside. Okay, there is a downside to this. Their E3 show this year, while the games themselves look great, barely had anything new. If I remember, please someone correct me, but the only new PS4 only game that was revealed was Neo 2, if I remember correctly. And they barely had a Tokyo Game Show presence, just barely. They weren't at Paris Games Week. They didn't hold PSX. They're not going to have E3. They're not going to have an event before E3. So they're basically going to be going practically 18 months without a conference. That is a very, very long time to keep your fan base waiting.
Yeah, take it from Xbox guys.
Yeah,
That's
speaking as
long
people
time.
who would know about waiting. Speaking about the hashtag wait till E3, wait till PSX now, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's just one of those things where I've seen how hype can build. I've seen how, people build their expectations like Nintendo Directs. That is a downside. People sometimes lose their heads when certain things don't get announced there. So I'm just wondering if they absolutely can deliver. I think they can. But it's a long time to keep your fans waiting. And regardless of whatever else happens, I'm going to be fascinated as to what this does to E3 attendance and ramifications for E3 moving forward. It's uncharted territory. It really is. We're in uncharted waters.
Uncharted was an award-winning game, and you know what is? We're going to be giving out some awards soon.
Very soon.
The Game Awards.
Yep, that's the thing. That's actually the next part on our list of things we got to cover. So the Game Awards, it's going to be interesting. We're talking about our Game Awards, of course. We're not doing those till later in the year. Calm down. Like, don't get excited just yet. We're going to get to those. But we have the other Game Awards show, the one that some people tune in. I don't know who's that guy who does that. Jeff Keighley, is that it?
Jeff Keighley,
who's that guy?
Canada's David Frost. It's Jeff Keighley.
I don't know what's his name. He's doing his own show this year. I guess some people tune into that, but I guess it's important looking at the nominees of that one. Does someone have an opportunity to pull that up for us so we can take a look?
I did indeed pull that up for us.
I have them in front of me right now as well.
Oh, well, there you go. James, you lead off.
All right, James, yes, James.
James,
all right,
go.
Let's start. What are the categories and who the nominees are? Real quick, just as we're going through all of the categories, I want to give everyone an opportunity, just a gut reaction. Who do you think, who we think should win or who will win?
Why not both? Just both. Say who I think and then who will.
No, that'd be too much infringing on our show. Well, let's say who we think will win, just by popular demand, or who we think wins.
All right, fine.
No, should I start? Should I start with the lower ranking stuff and build to Game of the Year?
Lower ranking.
I will not go through the esports stuff.
Thank you. Don't care.
However, I do want to say that Profit not being nominated for the Overwatch League is a crime against humanity. Moving on. No, we won't do student game. Best sports racing game. We have FIFA 19, Forza Horizon 4, Mario Tennis Aces, NBA 2K19, and Pro Evolution Soccer 2019. I've played 3 of them.
Oh, nice. Good job.
I've played FIFA, Tennis, and PES.
Yeah, Forza.
This is the Forza Award.
Forza.
This is the Forza Award, honestly.
It's not going to be Game of the Year. It's just going to get it. Like, what was it? And I found that really funny too. Like, what was it? 2K came out and nobody knew. Like,
it did. I mean, it did well. It did well on MPD.
Yeah, but nobody talked about it. Like,
weird.
It had no presence online. I found that really interesting. And I saw my first trailer for it yesterday on YouTube. I was like, oh yeah, that did come out.
Okay, here we are. Best multiplayer game. This is a big one. Call of Duty Black Ops 4, Destiny 2, Fortnite, Monster Hunter World, and Sea of Thieves. Now, forgive me for getting something. I would swear that Fortnite and Destiny 2 came out last year.
They did.
As did Sea of Thieves.
No,
Sea of
Sea of
Thieves
Thieves
got this
came
year.
out this year.
Is March.
Sea of Thieves
Yeah.
came out this year.
Oh man, it's been a
Destiny
long
2,
year.
you can at least get away with the fact that Forsaken is incredibly different, and it added a
You
bunch
know
of new
what?
stuff.
I beg your pardon. It is Destiny 2 Forsaken that is. not
Okay, so
better.
yeah, you can throw that one. That slides into technicality. Fortnite should not be on there. End of the discussion.
Fortnite
I
is just them like we're gonna justify this by being out, like just so we can have a popular game on the list.
honestly,
what?
this could go to a couple of different ones. I feel like Fortnite is going to take it just because,
The end
unfortunately.
thing right now. I agree. I don't want it to, but I think it's going to.
I'd much rather see it go to Sea of Thieves or Destiny 2. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, James.
The best game on this list that is a multiplayer game is Monster Hunter World.
I mean, Monster Hunter World is... Yes, here's the thing. I love Monster Hunter World, but that multiplayer connection system is horrible, dude. It's horrible. Like, the whole, you can only see this cutscene if you haven't played this before, and then you can only join in during this section, but then you'll be disconnected. Now you got this wait. It's not... The multiplayer side of things is not implemented well. That's the issue I have with it. It's a great game. I love the game, but the multiplayer side of things is nah.
Well, there you go. All right, best family game, also sponsored by Nintendo, apparently. So we have Mario Tennis Aces, Nintendo Labo. Who remembers that? Super Mario Party.
Oh yeah, I guess it is technically. I was like, wait a minute, cardboard. I think it should count in the board game category.
Okay, sorry. Super Mario Party, Nintendo Labo, Mario Tennis Aces, Overcooked 2, and Starlink Battle for Atlas. Here's the thing.
Overcooked.
Mario Party's going to win. Overcooked 2 should win.
Yeah, I think Overcooked. I think Overcooked will take it.
I think
Overcooked.
so.
Yeah,
because
that
Mario
seems
Party,
fair.
this Mario Party wasn't very good at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Mario. It's a Mario Party.
Yeah, but a lot of people had complaints about it, dude. Like, I mean, even journalists,
More than
even
usual.
media had way more than usual. A lot
Even
of
journalists, and journalists really know what they're talking about all the time.
hey,
Duh. Journalists know everything, so give them a break.
Yeah, man. Okay, so best fighting game. This is the one where I know absolutely nothing about. We have BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. Has anyone ever heard of that?
Actually,
Yes,
I
I've
have heard of it. I have
Heard of it, yes.
Okay. Dragon Ball Fighters, or Fighter Z, however you say it. Soul Calibur 6, and Street Fighter 5 Arcade Edition. Street Fighter 5 came out last year.
Really, are we going to give an arcade edition?
I mean, really?
Arcade
That's not
Edition
Street
was
Fighter.
a couple. We're really stretching the definition of some things here because that was a couple of patches as a free upgrade. But I digress. This one's tough to call. It's going to be between Dragon Ball Fighter Z and Soul Calibur 6. I'd give the edge to Soul Calibur 6 simply because the brand recognition of having 2B and Geralt in there is incredible. Like, that's mind-blowing. They got both of those characters in there.
Agreed.
It's stunning. And the other thing is the create a character system is incredible. Like, it's you can make anybody. There's literally clips people have made of Thanos fighting a custom Thanos fighting a custom Spider-Man. I'm not kidding. I'll have to send you guys the video. So I'd give the edge to Soul Calibur 6.
I think I'm gonna go for BlazBlue just because I've never heard of it.
Fair.
I'll give it to. I'm with Sam on this one. I got to give it to Soul Calibur.
I'll give it to Soul Calibur as well.
Okay, best role-playing game. Now, here's the track to see if any of you have played any of these. Dragon Quest XI.
No.
Nope.
Monster Hunter World.
Yes.
Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom.
No.
It's such a good game. Octopath Traveler.
I want to. I haven't had the time. I really want to play it, though. It looks good.
And Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire.
No.
Same as Octopath Traveler. I really want to play it. It looks really good. I haven't had the time yet.
This is a crazy stacked category.
It is.
So, like, it's going to go to either Dragon Quest, Ni no Kuni, or Octopath. And I think it will go to Octopath.
Yeah, I think it'll go to Octopath. It's tough though because I mean, like, Pillars of Eternity 2 got rave reviews. I mean, yeah, it's tough. It's very tough.
You don't think Monster Hunter?
No. No, I don't. For RPG, no. Not when Octopath is in the same category.
Nah,
I agree with him.
I don't know.
I think it's crazy that Kingdom Come Deliverance isn't in there.
I know, right? That's really kind of weird. Like they're kind of like the go-to.
Especially when you think about it's really the only hardcore like medieval Western RPG that was released this year. I know Pillars of Eternity 2 is a CRPG, so there's that. But
isn't it really dicey to talk about that game and the
I know
people who worked on it?
I was dancing around it, but we all know why it's not on there.
Yeah,
politics.
Less said about that, the better. But on a completely other note, Ni no Kuni 2 is an incredibly adorable JRPG made in Wales. And I just think more people should play it.
Made out of Wales?
It's great.
No.
Aw.
Yeah.
Sorry. I had to take an opportunity.
No worries, mate. Yeah, that's good. All right, so this is now Best Action Adventure Game, also known as Best Game Light. We have Assassin's Creed Odyssey, God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Only one of those is not nominated for Best Game, so we can say that Shadow of the Tomb Raider will not win this award.
Yeah, they're probably just going to get it. Whoever doesn't win Game of the Year is going to get this. This is the runner-up award.
The annoying part is that Shadow of the Tomb Raider is the most by-the-book action adventure on there, if we're talking really. But I think this one's going to God of War, personally. It's tough, but I think... Ivan, you got some nice static there. I think it's going to God of War.
I'm actually going to go for Spider-Man.
Okay, all right, fair.
Yeah, I was going to go for Spider-Man 2 for this.
All right.
Because I feel like it's going to win something. It was just everywhere for such a brief time, but it's got to win something.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right, here we go for Best Action Game. Call of Duty Black Ops 4, Dead Cells, which is a surprise nomination, Destiny 2 Forsaken, Far Cry 5, and Mega Man 11.
Dead Cells.
Watch Dead Cells win simply because of the IGN problem.
The popularity that game got, propels it into the stratosphere.
I just don't think it's that good.
Oh, I think it's great. Like that's
really
going to be
good.
in my top 3. I love it.
I think that's the award that COD or Destiny is going to win.
Maybe. We'll see. Dead Cells could be a dark horse.
Talking about populous, you don't get more popular than that. Do we want to do mobile game?
No.
If it's not Candy Crush, it doesn't count.
Okay, I want to give a shout out to Reigns Game of Thrones, which is a brilliant use of mobile gaming technology. It's basically a medieval royalty simulator, but using Tinder as the game mechanic. So you swipe left amazing. Or right. You swipe left or right depending on if you want people like working for you in the monarchy. It's genuinely brilliant.
I thought we were talking about like forming alliances based on marriage.
Yeah. No, but it's that as well.
Right.
Yeah, but no, it's and now they've got the addition of the Game of Thrones license. Like it's just a brilliant game.
I will legitimately check that out then. If that's
like for a mobile game, it's the best thing that's been out for a long time. Like the other nominees are Fortnite and PUBG and a couple others. All right. However, this is the next one is a surprisingly difficult category to. Oh wait, no, it's not. It's best VR game, and I've just seen the Tetris Effect is nominated.
Well, what are they? What are they? Just out of curiosity.
Best VR/AR game. We've got Astrobot Rescue Mission, Beat Saber, Firewall 0 Hour, Moss, and Tetris Effect.
Oh,
the only one of those. Yeah, Astrobot could take it, dude. Astrobot
Tetris.
I mean, it's between those two. Make no mistake, it's between those two. I'm just saying.
Like that just sounds so weird that Tetris would win again. The game's over 20 years old.
Have you played Tetris Effect?
No, but I find that really funny. Like, I know it's amazing. I've heard it's amazing, but I'm just saying, how weird would it be that you got beat out by a 20-year-old game?
It's not the same game. It's different.
It is the same game.
It's not the same game. All right, All right, Fallout 76.
Hey, man,
That's the same. That's the same game.
It's too soon.
All right. Okay, so best independent game. So we've got Celeste, Dead Cells, Into the Breach, Return of the Obra Dinn, and The Messenger. Now, I've only played 2 of these. I've only played Dead Cells and Celeste. So for me, it's Celeste any day.
It'll probably be Celeste.
Yeah, I want it to be Dead Cells, but it's probably going to be Celeste.
Probably Celeste, yeah.
Yeah, but it's Game of the Year nomination. Like, it's gonna win that. I mean, we know it's not gonna win Game of the Year, but it'll win Indie.
Games for Impact, which is it's an interesting little category. So we've got 1111 Memories Retold, Celeste again, Florence, The Missing, J.J. Macfield and the Island of Memories, which is the most independent game name I've heard in a long time, and Life is Strange 2. I want Life is Strange 2 to win because I'm biased.
I go for Life is Strange 2.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, because why not?
Sure, why not? Why not?
Best audio design: Call of Duty Black Ops 4, Forza Horizon 4,
yes,
God of War,
Forza.
Marvel Spider-Man, and Red Dead Redemption 2.
Forza.
It should go to Forza. Honestly, though, I could not. Red Dead's. I couldn't tell you which one it's going to go to. Red Dead's audio design is up there. God of War had great audio design as well.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah, the theme playing as you sweep down. Like, this is up in the air. This is up in the air.
But is that audio design or is that music?
That's more music. But my thing is I think of it more like the audio design. Like, I try to think back of like heavy moments from a game. Like, the only thing in God of War when it came to sound that I was interested in was whenever you're calling your axe back. Like, it was also really satisfying sound.
And boy!
But I'm just saying that particular thing, when we would recall it, it had a very satisfying, like a zoom. Like, when you hit your hand, it's like, yeah, that feels good. But that was it. Like, nothing else I cared about.
I'm not going to call this one. It's too close.
Same. I agree. I abstain.
Forza's the safe bet for that one. I feel like Forza's the safe bet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we have a big category. Best performance.
Oh, God.
All right, I'm going to try and pronounce one of these names is really hard. Okay. Christopher Judge as Kratos in God of War. Roger Clark as Arthur Morgan. Yuri Lowenthal as Spider-Man, but I should say Peter Parker, but it doesn't. Milisanthi Mahout, I think, as Cassandra in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and Brian Deckard as Connor in Detroit Become Human. Which is, as far as I know, that is Detroit's only nomination. As far as no, it's not.
It's not by a long shot. But
it hasn't got many. I'm actually going to go for Connor because I think it was one of the most. It was a brilliant performance.
I mean, good God, this is the A-listers. This is like everyone who's nominated deserves to be up there. This is brutal. Yes. I'm going to go Roger Clark as Arthur Morgan because he won me over, as I was convinced before Red Dead came out that he was going to be a dumb, boring protagonist, and he is anything but. His nuanced portrayal is stellar. It's incredible.
As far as everything I've heard about the game, I'm surprised the man who played Dutch isn't nominated.
He would be up there as well, but man, I mean, dude, Roger Clark did an incredible job.
I'm going to go with Roger Clark also.
There's something fun about this. So the Yuri Lowenthal, who played Peter Parker, his wife in real life played Yuri Watanabe in Spider-Man, and so he was shouting at his real wife, but he was shouting his name at his wife.
That's funny. That's really funny.
He was going, Yuri!
She's probably thinking, I hear you think of yourself enough as is on a daily basis. That's funny.
All right.
No, Roger Clark, again, for me.
I gotta vote for the Judge. And I give it to that Christopher Judge, namely because when I was playing that game, over time, as the game progressed, you really got the sense that Kratos had seen some shit. Like, you really felt the pain in his performance of just remembering things he had done. and just it was very powerful and moving. So
I mean, fair play. Fair play. Like I said, everyone nominated deserves to be up there.
Mike, did you vote?
Yes, I think it's going to be Roger Clark.
Okay, so we have 2 for Clark, 1 for Christopher Judge, and 1 for Brian Deckard. It's the most split category.
Yep.
Okay, here we go for best art direction. No surprises here. Nominees: Assassin's Creed Odyssey, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, Octopath Traveler, and Return of Obra Dinn, which I have no idea what that is. That's bad of me.
Say one more time. What are the nominees again?
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, Return of the Obra Dinn, and Octopath Traveler.
It's going to be God of War or Octopath.
I think they'll probably give it to Octopath.
Yeah. This one, yeah. I mean, both of those are deserving, but I agree. I think this one's going to Octopath.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree because the whole thing is about its look. Okay, keeping with some big themes, literal big themes. It's the best score and music round.
Okay,
that's my favorite joke that I've made this entire day. We have Celeste. We have God of War. Oh, sorry, I'm going to do this properly. Celeste by Lena Raine. God of War by Bear McCreary. Marvel's Spider-Man, John Pisano. Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom by Joe Hisaishi. Octopath Traveler by Yasunori Nishiki. And Red Dead Redemption 2 by Woody Jackson.
Brutal.
That's hard.
That is
toss-up.
Toss-up between Spider-Man and Red Dead.
Yeah. No, it's a toss-up between...
Spider-Man's not going to win.
No, agreed. I agree with James. It's a toss-up between Octopath Traveler, Red Dead, and God of War. It's a 3-way tie there for me. Any of them could win it.
Are you seriously counting out Ni no Kuni, who was the music written by the man who's written the music for every Ghibli film?
See, I'm not that familiar with that stuff, so okay, may as well make it 4. I mean, all I know is this: it ain't Spider-Man. That's what I know. Spider-Man's not winning that category. That is what I can tell you. All those other soundtracks are stellar. So,
you know who I'm disappointed didn't get in for this category? Far Cry 5. Far Cry 5 score actually really done. Like there's one song in particular. Like I'm sitting here playing Fallout 76 and I'm hearing the sound like this one little spot. I'm like, wow. And for whatever reason, I just started thinking about Far Cry 5, and they had like this one. I think it's the main theme on the main screen. And I was like, that hit me. Like I can hear that right now, and that's the only song this entire year that's stuck in my head still, and I haven't played the game in 6 months.
I'm annoyed that the 3 different composers for Detroit are not nominated for a joint award, because I feel like what they added to that game was outstanding and really and unheard of in video gaming, and I'm annoyed it's not being recognized here. But having said that, I believe that the award will go to Ni no Kuni. It's just a great score. It's just a brilliant soundtrack and perfectly suited for that game.
This is a wild card. There's no question.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right. We are in the final 4 categories.
Cool.
So, best narrative: Detroit Become Human, God of War, Life is Strange 2, Marvel's Spider-Man, and Red Dead Redemption 2. Can we all agree it's not going to be Spider-Man?
Anyone who says Spider-Man is an idiot. I'm sorry.
No, it's not.
Spider-Man is going to be the Horizon Zero Dawn this year, where it gets nominated for a bunch of categories and barely wins anything.
Or wins nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Horizon Zero awards.
This is tough, but Red Dead, absolutely.
I don't know. I might give it to Detroit. I might go Detroit. Like the only thing it could possibly win. True. Because it had 3 different stories and they were all integrated, and they'll probably give it to it. But who knows?
Yeah, but people only talk about one of them. People only talk about one of those stories. That's the thing.
No, they don't.
They really do. If you look at social media, like Brian Deckard is the only one who his story really gets focused on. Connor's story.
Connor gets focused on because Brian Deckard is very active on social media. Like people are always talking about, like, the game ends with Marcus's story, and Kara's story is the foundation of which that game is based on.
I'm still saying Red Dead.
I'm actually not even advocating Detroit. I'm saying it's going to be Life is Strange. Because that game is only narrative.
I feel like they'll give it to Detroit. Sorry, depending on whether or not they get over the whole David Cage politic thing that happened earlier this year. If they don't, then no.
Mike, what about you?
I had initially said God of War. I think it's going to get best narrative.
Okay, so this is another really split one for us. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Now the award for best ongoing game. We have Destiny 2 Forsaken, Fortnite,
No.
Overwatch, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, and No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky deserves nothing. No Man's Sky deserves nothing.
No Man's Sky deserves this award.
The type of turnaround that they had this year.
No. It took them 2 years to do it, Mike.
That doesn't matter. Is that
how it's going to be, Mike? Is that how it's going to be? You just take a break sometimes?
Ivan, if in 2 years Fallout 76 is amazing, will you buy me dinner?
Well, I'm not saying it should I don't think it should deserve an award. No,
but a specific award that is recognizing games that change over time, both for the better.
True, but what I'm talking about is that they released the game, not what they promised, did nothing for a year, and then said, "Oh yeah, here's a super update. Everyone be excited."
Yeah, but that's exactly what Fortnite did.
Right, and they completely rehabilitated their image in the process too.
Yes, it is.
That's not what Fortnite did. They released an entirely new mode. They didn't reboot Save the World.
Yes, and they released an entirely new mode into No Man's Sky.
But it was free to play, as opposed to No Man's Sky not being free to play.
There was a free update. No Man's Sky is going to win this award.
No, they're going to give it to Fortnite. They're going to give it to Fortnite because
I really hope not, but unfortunately, it probably will.
I wish they wouldn't. But
Overwatch, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, and Destiny 2 Forsaken are all very deserving of this.
The only game that truly deserves it is Rainbow Six. They have actually put in that support. They've done everything they're supposed to do, and they've not been recognized one time for it. They deserve to win more than Overwatch.
That's fair.
I would not be mad at all if Rainbow Six won it.
I wouldn't either. All right, James, hit us.
Okay, best game direction. We have one massive wild card that I really hope wins. Okay, we've got Red Dead Redemption 2. No surprises there. Marvel's Spider-Man, God of War, Detroit Become Human, and A Way Out.
Wow.
Wait. When we talk game direction, what are we judging it based on, really? Like, just like
we are judging it based on their own comments at last year's Game Awards.
But we're judging
Way Out then.
That's what I'm saying.
In theory, the award is given based off of the creative vision behind the game direction and design, in which case Red Dead and God of War would be the contenders. Yeah. That being said, I want A Way Out to win this because I want Joseph Ferris on stage again.
Okay. I want to see him have Jeff Keighley say, "I'm back."
Yeah. Yes,
Sam,
James.
Based on the criteria that you just put out, I don't think you can give it to anything other than Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say Detroit too, because if you think about it, I mean, that's like the whole point of the game.
That game lives and dies with its direction. It's literally directed, as opposed to the others, which are much more player interactive.
I don't know. I feel like God of War is
player influence. I should mention.
Yeah, I mean, but what Ivan I hear what you're saying, James. But what Ivan just said, especially with the one-shot camera from
where you can't cut to somebody else. You can't show like people talking behind the scenes. You have to do it strictly from one character's perspective all the way through
and maintain the scale. Yeah, it's like it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
That's the problem. It's gonna be really hard to sell that to anybody else because like every other game when they have cutscenes, like I was playing God of War 3 right before God of War when it came out, and it was just like they cut to the gods all the time. They talk, it was like Zeus talking about like, oh, here's what we're gonna do. Hades, here's what we're gonna do. Like you hear this all the time. Like it's just set up being a bad guy, but you can't do that with God of War in this case. You could not do that. You had to be, you had to time it just right. You had to work within those guidelines. But that's another topic for another time.
But yeah, but so final count. I'm saying Detroit.
All right, final count. This is tough, but I'm going God of War.
I'm gonna go Detroit.
I honestly don't know. I'd probably lean God of War, but I don't know.
All right, it'll be interesting.
I'm stunned that none of us are saying Red Dead.
I mean, I don't know. Red Dead, I didn't feel like was doing anything particularly challenging in game direction wise.
That's the thing. Red Dead is excellent. It's literally in its direction perfect. But God of War, Detroit, even A Way Out do something different.
Little ventured, little gained. That's really what the problem is.
It's surprising that there isn't an award for game design.
Yeah, that's surprising. I'd love to see an award given out for studio culture as well, personally.
David Cage is going to win that one.
Oh my God. All right, okay, James, go.
Here we go. The big one. Here we go. Game of the year. We'll get the ones that aren't going to win out of the way. Okay. Monster Hunter World.
Nope.
No, sorry.
It's a great game, but it's not going to win.
Nope.
Marvel Spider-Man.
Nope.
Again,
sorry.
Great game, but it's not going to win Game of the Year. So, we have Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I think that's the neutral pick. There's a possibility. For having played this, it's really, really good. It would possibly be a good neutral pick to upset people, but also keep people interested.
We also have Celeste.
No.
Sorry. This Red Dead came out in the same year. Sorry. This isn't the year for an upset.
Okay.
This is not.
Well, we also have God of War.
Chance.
Maybe.
It has like a
20% chance.
I would say like a 5. It's got a chance, but it's like a 5% chance. Any other year it would take it hands down.
And the favorite, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yep.
That's the safe buy, yeah. That's the safe bet.
I mean, yeah.
Sorry. Like it just is.
I agree with you guys. I mean, I haven't played Red Dead. The only ones I've only played God of War and Celeste and Spider-Man out of this, and Monster Hunter.
I'm gonna say something different just because I can. I think they're gonna give it to Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
Just enough because that would keep people interested in watching. People would be like, "What?"
I mean, I'm going with God of War.
That's fair. I'm going with Red Dead.
Because I feel like Red Dead is going to be a game that is going to thought about. It doesn't care about what year it came out. God of War is very much a this year game.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
I hear what you're saying. Absolutely. Like I said, any other year, I think God of War would stomp and take this. But
yeah,
well, except if it was up against Edith Finch, which is amazing.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
All right. So yeah,
there we go.
That's our list. Solid games, sirs.
I hope somebody was writing that down.
Yep.
And if someone wasn't writing that down, someone gets to listen to this episode and write it down anyway. So there you go.
For everyone who is listening in the chat, I'm sure that you're already putting in your picks for Game of the Year. If you want to tweet them to us as well, maybe tweet us the games that aren't nominated for Game of the Year that you want to see nominated. And for everyone who gives in, everyone who says Detroit, you're going to get a retweet from me.
Because everybody knows, in actuality, the only game that was going to win was going to be Fallout 76, but it missed the cutoff date. So,
actually, but though I will say, when you think about it, there's a large amount of games that are cut off here. Battlefield 5 missed the cutoff date. Hitman 2, Fallout 76, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate all missed the cutoff date. That's a little crazy, but
yeah.
But they're still going to be eligible for the BAFTAs, which, as we all know, is the most prestigious award in gaming.
Yes, very true.
All right. So we got to wrap things up, guys. We went kind of over time, so we got to get things rolling out of here. Do outros real quick. James, where can people find you at?
People can find me on the tweets at James_S Wilson. We didn't get a chance to talk about Fantastic Beasts, which I'm in, and
Sorry, we'll do that next week.
It is.
All right, and Mike.
All right, you can find me on pretty much everywhere at Mike P the Truth, except on Twitter, where I am now the Truth of Mike P.
Sounds like a Diaries kind of situation. The Truth of Mike P. The movie. All right, Sam.
You can find me on Twitter at Samuel Talbert. You can find what I write on tickgamesnetwork.com. Please read what I write, and please talk to me about it. Please talk to me about games, movies, books. I'm happy to talk to you.
All right, and I'm Anchorman V2. You can find me on the Twitter, pretty much everything else at Anchorman V2. I'm putting up my holiday pictures and stuff now, so we'll get this over with. But yeah, it's thank you guys for tuning up. We really do appreciate you guys, especially jumping in the chat there. We really do appreciate you guys coming and supporting us. Thank you so much. Baby. Thank you guys again. It has been Multiverse Show episode 111, the greatest show on Mondays, and we are out of here.
Bye.